Welcome to English Easy Hub. Join us as we ignite the flames of your English learning journey together.
Please subscribe to watch and embark on your English learning journey. Don't miss out on the exciting content. This dialogue delves into the practical techniques and strategies to avoid common mistakes in spoken English. Alex, a dedicated learner, seeks guidance from their teacher on overcoming challenges like grammar errors, pronunciation struggles, hesitation, and unnatural intonation. Through 17 thoughtful exchanges, the teacher offers deep insights into identifying mistakes, building self-awareness, and implementing actionable solutions to achieve fluency. The conversation emphasizes immersive learning, active practice, and self-monitoring as key pillars of language mastery.
Hi, teacher. I've been working on improving my spoken English, but I often notice I make common mistakes. Could you share some techniques to avoid them?
That's a fantastic starting point, Alex. The key to avoiding common mistakes lies in understanding their root causes. Often, these errors stem from habits formed early in the learning process, like relying on direct translation or from limited exposure to authentic English usage. One of the most effective strategies is to cultivate self-awareness. Recording yourself while speaking allows you to step back and evaluate your language objectively. Additionally, use guided practice tools like error detection exercises, where you intentionally make and then correct mistakes. This rewires your brain to spot potential pitfalls before they occur.
I haven't recorded myself before, but it sounds effective. If I do, how should I analyze the recordings? What specific things should I be looking for?
Excellent question. When you analyze your recordings, break it down into 3 categories: pronunciation, grammar, and fluency. For pronunciation, listen for any patterns where sounds differ from standard English, such as unclear vowels or consonants. For grammar, note whether your sentences follow standard structure. Are you consistently using subject-verb agreement, proper tense, and articles? For fluency, pay attention to hesitations or unnatural pauses and assess whether your ideas flow logically. It's also valuable to compare your recordings to a reliable model, such as a podcast or speech by a native speaker, and note discrepancies. Over time, you'll notice clear areas for improvement.
That makes sense. Speaking of grammar, I sometimes mix up tenses, especially when narrating past events. Any advice on avoiding this?
Mixing tenses is a common issue, but it can be tackled systematically. Think of tenses as a timeline. Past tense is your history, present tense is your now, and future tense is your plan. When narrating, mentally anchor yourself to one point on this timeline. A practical exercise is storytelling. Pick a past event and narrate it entirely in the past tense. Pay special attention to irregular verbs, which often cause confusion. For reinforcement, you can analyze written stories or transcripts of native speakers. Observe how they transition between tenses, especially when weaving in flashbacks or hypothetical scenarios.
That's really helpful. What about pronunciation? I often struggle with sounds that don't exist in my native language, like th and thought in this.
Pronunciation can indeed be challenging, especially with sounds unique to English. Let's focus on the th sound. Start by understanding its placement. Your tongue should lightly touch the back of your upper teeth. Practice minimal pairs such as think versus sink to distinguish it from other sounds. After mastering isolated words, embed them into full sentences. For instance, repeat a sentence like, "I think this is the best option." Shadowing is also invaluable here. Imitate native speakers, paying attention not just to the sound, but also to the rhythm and stress. Over time, these sounds will feel more natural.
Shadowing? Could you explain that in more detail?
Of course. Shadowing is a dynamic listening and speaking practice. You listen to a native speaker, pause, and immediately mimic what they say, matching their pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm as closely as possible. Start with slower-paced materials like children's stories or guided language learning videos. As your confidence grows, progress to faster and more complex content, such as TED Talks or interviews. It's also helpful to use subtitles initially and gradually wean off them as your listening improves. Shadowing doesn't just refine your pronunciation, but also ingrains the natural flow of the language into your speech.
That sounds engaging. Another problem I face is hesitation when speaking, as I struggle to find the right words. How can I overcome that?
Hesitation often stems from two factors: limited vocabulary and fear of making mistakes. To address the former, focus on learning words in context rather than isolation. For example, instead of just learning the word travel, learn collocations like travel abroad or travel itinerary. For the latter, embrace imperfection. Fluency is about communication, not perfection. Start with structured practice, like rehearsing responses to common topics, and gradually challenge yourself in unstructured conversations. Also, paraphrasing is a powerful tool. If you forget a word, use simpler language to convey your meaning.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about filler words like or you know? I use them too much, and it feels unprofessional.
Filler words are a natural part of speech, even for native speakers, but overuse can be distracting. To reduce them, train yourself to pause silently instead. This requires conscious effort, as silence can feel uncomfortable at first, but it gives you time to organize your thoughts. Practicing mindful breathing is also helpful. It keeps you calm and deliberate. Recording yourself again comes into play here. Listen to how often you use fillers and replace them with intentional pauses. Additionally, expanding your vocabulary will make it easier to retrieve the words you need, reducing the need for fillers.
That's helpful. Sometimes I translate directly from my native language, which makes my English sound awkward. How can I stop doing that?
Direct translation is a common hurdle, but it's a sign of growing linguistic competence. To break free from it, immerse yourself in English thinking. Engage in activities that require you to describe objects, emotions, or ideas directly in English, using visual or contextual cues instead of relying on your native language. Journaling in English is another powerful technique. Write about your day or thoughts without translating in your mind. Over time, you'll find it easier to think and express yourself in English naturally.
Immersion seems like a recurring theme. Are there any tools or activities you specifically recommend for this?
Absolutely. Immersion doesn't always mean moving to an English-speaking country. Technology makes it accessible from anywhere. Watch English movies or TV shows with subtitles and then gradually turn them off. Join online communities or forums where English is the main language. Language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem are great for real-time practice. Additionally, try setting your phone or apps to English to create a consistent exposure environment. The key is to make English a daily part of your life.
That's a lot to try. Sometimes, though, I feel overwhelmed when people speak too quickly. How can I handle fast-paced conversations?
Handling fast-paced speech is a challenge for many learners. Start by training your ears with listening exercises at various speeds. Apps like Audible or YouTube allow you to slow down playback initially, which helps in understanding nuances. Focus on catching keywords instead of trying to understand every word. Over time, train yourself to anticipate meaning based on context. Active listening practice, where you summarize what you hear immediately afterward, can also improve your comprehension.
I've also noticed that my intonation doesn't sound very natural. How can I work on that?
Intonation is vital for natural and engaging speech. Think of intonation as music. It rises, falls, and varies to convey emotion and meaning. Practice by mimicking dialogues, paying attention to how pitch changes in questions, statements, or expressions of surprise. For instance, really sounds different when expressing doubt versus excitement. Apps like Yellowsay Speak or resources like Uglish can help you study native intonation patterns in different contexts. Regular practice will align your speech with natural rhythms.
One last question. How can I measure my progress effectively?
Measuring progress requires clear goals and regular self-evaluation. Define specific objectives, like holding a 5-minute conversation fluently or mastering 20 idiomatic expressions in a month. Use benchmarks, such as taking practice tests, re-recording yourself, or writing essays on the same topic over time. Platforms like IELTS or TOEFL practice tests can gauge your speaking level. Most importantly, don't just measure technical skills. Assess your confidence and comfort while communicating. These are equally significant indicators of improvement.
This has been incredibly informative, teacher. Thank you for the in-depth guidance.
You're welcome, Alex. Remember, language learning is a journey, not a race. Celebrate small victories along the way, and never hesitate to ask questions or seek help. Keep pushing yourself. You're doing great.
This engaging and detailed conversation highlights the importance of a holistic approach to improving spoken English. From mastering tenses and reducing filler words to refining pronunciation and intonation, the teacher provides Alex with a roadmap for progress. The discussion underscores the value of self-awareness, consistent practice, and leveraging technology for immersive learning. Most importantly, it encourages learners to embrace imperfection and celebrate small victories, reinforcing that fluency is not just about accuracy, but also confidence and natural expression.
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share to keep the English learning journey alive.